we want to welcome everybody here.
Everything all at once?
Everything all at once.
It's honestly a sensation. Aliens listen to it.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Everything at Once podcast. We are finishing up our Black History Month, celebrating all the different Black community leaders in our area. And today we have with us Shantel Hilliard, from the director of the Booker T. Washington Center. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We're really honored and grateful that you agreed to come on. I know that you guys are doing a lot of really tremendous work for our community down there, and trying to give the people of Erie that may not have certain privileges that other people in Erie have, that foundation or that leg up to stand on. So we really appreciate what you're doing.
Not a problem. Glad to be here. Very much ready to talk about some of the great things that we're doing, and just to commend you two gentlemen as well, of providing the opportunity to come out and speak to what we're doing as an organization, but also how we're representing Erie. And for you two gentlemen to give us that platform, you should commend yourselves as well.
No, thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, we got it. That's why we got in this, was to try and help Erie and build that community that we already have and maybe integrate it a little bit more. So we appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, not a problem.
We always talk about how, Erie should be a place that people love and people want to stick around. So we try having conversations with people where, we try to figure out everybody's little part they play in making this a community that we can be proud of and that can grow and develop.
Absolutely. Because one of the bigger things, and what you're saying is, the community aspect is, specifically, when individuals get their college education, sometimes, a lot of times they leave.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And so, going back to what you said is how we can try to keep these individuals here is a really important thing. They call it the brain drain, if you will. So, but yeah, any way that we can try to keep, the educated men and women here in Erie only strengthens our community. And so, just even these platforms here, that you all have of talking about the importance of trying to create job creation and diversity, equity, and inclusion will help some of these individuals stay around. And so don't minimize what you're doing here. It's very important to reach all social platforms, whether it's through podcasts, whether it's through Twitter, Facebook, all of those specific things of trying to keep our individuals here to build this community is an important aspect of how we build the city itself.
Right. And Erie's a small enough place, but also a large enough place that there's new things happening, but you still kind of have that personal relationship with the small business owners around here,
Absolutely.
Which is really special.
It is. And so that kind of segues into what I'm really here for, right? But no, you make a great point, is that, from an organizational standpoint, in being in Erie, it is a big enough city to the point to where there's a lot to do. There's a lot of things that are going on, but also it's small enough that for an organization like us, we have access to the powers that be, per se. Give a great example. We got a proclamation from the mayor this morning.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's amazing.
Awesome. Absolutely. And so, it's small enough to be able to, have that opportunity to know the mayor and work closely with the mayor. And so our proclamation this morning was for Booker T. Washington Center's 100-year anniversary.
Congratulations.
So thank you. We January 2nd was the official date. Was our 100 years since 1923. just started off with some African American individuals who felt like there was a need for an organization like Booker T. Washington to support the community and help those individuals in the community from a programmatic standpoint, from a services standpoint, and a resource standpoint. And those individuals created the organization, and here we are 100 years later, still providing meaningful services and programmatic things to the community. And so I tell people all the time, that just goes to show you we're not a fly-by-night organization. Yeah. You know, anytime you can sustain over 100 years in a community, providing services through the ups and downs of just everyday life and the economy and everything COVID and everything else, it just is a testament to, you know, our stick-to-itiveness and the relationship that we have with the community.
Right. Shows there's a big need still for the services you guys are providing.
Absolutely. You know, the interesting piece to that is the services that we provide, and I'll talk a little bit about some of the services that we provide, is that you never really understand the importance of the services that we offer until you are in the trenches every day with us.
Right.
And you see people walk through the doors, and when they walk through those doors, you know, the urgency in which they need help really puts a perspective on the importance of what we do. Excuse me. And not really knowing, because when you're in the trenches every day, it's like just normal. It's every day. It's every day. That's what we do. And we don't look at the big picture. But when you have individuals that come in and say, hey, we need, you know, this type of assistance, and we provide that assistance, you know, to us, that's just practice. But then when you look at some of the things, the letters that we get and the thank yous that we get, the donations, whether it's $5 or $10,000, it's an important piece to us because it makes us recognize that it really is something that we're doing that people feel comfortable with us. So, you know, it's really a gratifying type of thing to know that, you know, we've been providing services for over 100 years, and not just providing the services, but being appreciated from the people that you do these things for. And so, you know, we'll continue to do what we do, and we really enjoy it.
100 years is an incredibly long time to be doing anything, and nonetheless being a pivotal part of the community that helps raise the community up and raise the value of the people and the individuals and their quality of life and all of these things that come along with the services that you provide. And it's really easy for me to have overlooked such a big part of our Erie community. Because like I was never involved with any of the services at Booker T. Washington. I didn't really know people that were, but I see that there's definitely like a strong value and a strong need in our community for the services that you provide, especially if you've been doing it for 100 years. How long have you been?
So I've been with the organization since 2003. So I've been
20 years.
20 years for you.
I've been around for a long time myself. And the interesting part to this is I started off just as a program aide, you know, right out of college, you know, type of thing where, you know, I said, you know what, you know, I want to give back. And the interesting piece to, you know, my relationship with Booker T. Washington Center, I grew up in the center as a kid.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I wrestled at the Booker T. Washington Center, played basketball at the Booker T. Washington Center, had free lunches at Booker T. Washington Center as a little kid. So to me, it's more gratifying, because that's where I went to play. That's where I grew up at.
You were one of those kids.
I was one of those kids that was coming there, and so when I, you know, look at the kids, you know, that are there now or that come through our after-school programs and our summer programs, you know, I get that sensation of saying that used to be me, you know, when I was a kid.
And you're giving them the opportunities that they may not have had without the Booker T. Washington Center.
Absolutely. So, you know, I started off just, you know, like I said, as a program aide, and just kind of worked myself up, my way up, then went to like a program coordinator. And then from the program coordinator, went into associate director, assistant director, then associate director. And then for like the last 7 years, I've been the executive director of the organization. And so it's been a heck of a ride.
Yeah, that's incredible.
It's been gratifying in every step of the way because not only as a kid growing up and playing in the center, and now also starting from the ground up and understanding the inner workings of how things work, and how you take a back seat to look at the overall organization instead of, sometimes people just jump right into those positions.
Right.
And they don't really get a broader look of the inner workings of, being that person that actually worked in the after-school program and fed the kids and did homework help and all of those things. And so I tease my staff all the time. I said, I've done it. You can't tell me anything different that I have not done by starting off in these particular programs. So it gives me a great pride to have done that. So.
Did you ever imagine yourself as the program director of the Booker T. Washington as a kid or as
a
young adult?
No, I really didn't. It was just one of those type of things, So I have my degree is in business management, and then I have a master's, MBA as well. And so, I always, wanted to go into the business realm of things, for the for-profit entity. But something gave me that calling. To say, why don't you give back? It was just an opportunity that arose, and I took it, and obviously, we probably could be a million other places making a whole lot more money, but I enjoy what I do. I love giving back to my community. I'm entrenched in my community, and I think it's the right thing to do. The broader perspective of it is that my mom always told me, as a little kid, it's good to help people, right?
No doubt.
It's good to help people because it keeps you grounded. And once you realize how blessed you are, in the way that you can change people's lives, it really gives me great gratification.
And there's always got to be somebody to keep the door open, right? Like I said, people kept the doors open when you were there as a kid, and now you're doing your part to keep the doors open for the future generations so they can build and grow up to be, well-rounded, positive influences in the community that we have here.
Absolutely. And interesting and kind of segue into, some specific things about funding and, keeping the doors open. The interesting part to this is that, it's definitely not an easy task. I've lost a lot of hair. So I've lost a lot of hair, since I stepped into this role. And I don't take it lightly because, you're responsible for a lot of people. You're responsible for giving kids an opportunity to come in and get off the streets and do some positive things and show them that there's a positive way to do things. So there's a lot to be said in regards to keeping the doors open. And the funding perspectives have changed dramatically, even since the time of COVID, and prior to COVID. COVID, which, I still tell people today is, there's still some lingering effects in regards to COVID from a funding perspective. And what I mean by that is that, there's different funding apparatuses that you got to take a look at, that we didn't look at before. And really, to be honest with you, a lot of the parents and families and kids are really now just starting to come back. And so, for a while there, we had to cap our numbers, right, in regards to how many students or kids can come to our programs or be involved in our programs, even to the point to where is that affects your funding, because a lot of times numbers and the amount of kids that are participating in your program can affect your funding.
Right.
So you have to juggle that and think about those type of perspectives as well. So but there also has been some positivity to the funding streams as well, because obviously ARP dollars and funding streams have come through the municipality. To be honest with you, not to say that I'm the biggest fan of how it all played out and how it is all distributed.
Right.
we could talk about that and debate that all the time. There's a lot of money that's come through the city of Erie that
Especially over the past couple years,
yes,
it seems like.
Yes.
With all the developments and the EDDC and everything else, it seems like Erie's in a constant state of change right now.
It is. I think, it could have been handled in some instances a little bit differently. I'm not knocking any individual that received ARP funding, whether it's the city, the county, or whatever else. I just think the funds that was brought to the city was supposed to be used for those disproportionately affected by COVID activity, right? And so I don't think all of the dollars were used in that capacity. I think there should have been a more emphasis on those individuals who were affected by COVID a lot more. And then not only that, those individual organizations that are on the front lines helping these individuals on a daily basis. And if I told you how much we got out of $40, $50, $60 million, you probably would be like, "Are you kidding me?" But I can say to you all that it wasn't much. It wasn't much. It wasn't what you would expect for an organization such as ours that is on the front line every day dealing with those specific issues that the individual community, those most proportionally affected by COVID, and programs that can help and assist those individuals. I think they could have did a better job. But at the end of the day, we're happy with what we got. We have some partners, from the city's perspective as well as the county, that will do what we do with what we got.
Absolutely.
And we'll continue to provide those services to the community in the most efficient way.
So what kind of needs has arisen since COVID?
So, the interesting piece to this is, for me, I think it's really one of the big things, and it kind of segues into our case management that we're really just starting to take a little focus on. We have a program that is called the Family Mainstream Program. And so what our Family Mainstream Program is really about case management, right? Because what we're seeing is that families have multiple issues or multiple problems. Give you an example. Excuse me. So Johnny or Susie comes to our after-school program, and we realize or recognize that mom or dad doesn't have a job, right? They need help or referrals to put food on the table.
CareerLink and stuff like that, yeah.
Right, okay. And so what we're finding is that multiple situations where mom or dad needs help finding a job, or within that specific family, okay, what we're seeing is that, okay, they don't have a resume. Dad doesn't have a resume, or mom doesn't have a resume, so they need help with resume writing. Oh, we're short money for our rent. Oh, so you need rental assistance and rental help. Oh, we realize that you don't have a sustainable living wage, and you need help finding a job. So what we're finding in this, there's multiple things that are going on within families nowadays. It's the ripple effect, right? And so what we're doing is trying to do more case management and finding out what are the underlying issues, right? And you all know as well as I do, if someone has a sustainable living wage type of job, that typically takes away some of the problems that's going on within the family, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
You
for
know,
sure.
and so what we're trying to do from our case management standpoint is find out, okay, what is it that is really going to get this family back on track? And if you're not asking the questions, or if you're not being receptive to the questions that they may have, because we're also finding that they don't have access or don't understand, where the resources are, right? And when someone doesn't understand where the resources are or don't have access to those resources, then that creates more problems within the family structure, right? And so it's our job is to break down those barriers, right? And make sure that they have access to those resources and make sure that they also understand that, hey, listen, sometimes you may need to have that conversation with us, but guess what? They're not going to have that conversation with you if they don't trust you.
Exactly.
And so with us being in the community for 100 years, the trust is there, right? We've mediated a lot of different things to the point where Johnny or Susie is having issues with going to school, but they're having issues communicating with the administration. We're that mediator.
Right.
They come to us to say, hey, we're having issues with communicating with the administration at the district. Well, it's our job to work with the district to create that. And so we do have a partnership with the Erie School District, and I wanted to say that publicly to the Superintendent Brian Polito and his team of being responsive to understanding that they can't do this by themselves. And you all know the educational slide that COVID has affected everyone with. And they realize, hey, we need some partners to help, from the educational side of things to make sure that, hey, when Johnny or Susie leaves the school and they're going to the after-school program at Booker T. Washington Center, MLK Center, JFK Center, Urban Erie Development Corporation, we still can provide the seamless type of educational opportunities for them when they leave the school. So we have a program where we have access to their grades, access to their homework. So when they come to Booker T, they can't say, well, we don't have any homework. Okay, well, hold on, let us take a look.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 and we can have access to their homework and all of those specific things. So the district has done a fabulous job with that, realizing that they need a partner in this. And through some of the ESSER funds that they receive through the pandemic, the superintendent has worked with us and a few other organizations to provide those particular services.
Right.
So education, workforce development, and assisting individual families with jobs has been one of the, going back to your original question, is been two of the things, and the third thing is economic development for minority-owned businesses, right? And so we need to really take a focus on that as well.
Yeah, those are all such big things, and it really does take a large group working together. As like one of our guests that was on recently talked about, if one person already knew the answers, he wouldn't need help from anybody else. And I really appreciate that you guys kind of have this cohesive thing going on that helps, like not only with grades but with athletics and stuff. Because I think that with athletics and the other activities that are going on, the art programs, whatnot, that you have at the Booker T. Washington, you're able to learn a lot of valuable life skills that help perpetuate, a positive work ethic and getting good grades in school and recognizing the importance of why you need to go to school and why you need to do these things in order to break this cycle that so many people are trapped in.
Yes. And interesting enough is one of the things that we're also focusing on that is really kind of taking off not in the most positive way, is this youth violence that we're seeing. And so, we're really going to dig ourselves into a situation where if we don't start to address these things, it's going to even get worse. And so, we're committed, and we're partnering with some others to help come up with some programmatic type of things that will help the youth as we try to navigate through, this youth violence. And, you got to start to try to get them a little younger. We can't wait till they're 14 or 15
when
or 16.
The problem's already occurred. An ounce of prevention is worth more than a pound of treatment.
Absolutely. So we got to start a lot earlier. And that's why we, do some programming in our after-school programs, some research-based programs. That's the buzzword. But not only understanding that it's research-based, but also having the understanding that you have to have individuals that are passionate about delivering these particular services that the kids can relate to, right?
For sure.
So you gotta, it's a fine balance, all right? And so with our program, we do some research-based programs. We have a program that's called Too Good for Violence. We also have a program that's called Life Skills. And so just a quick example, some of the things that we're working on that's in our rotation, in our after-school program, in our summer programs, is 30 minutes every day of just prevention, right? So some of the topics may be self-esteem, conflict resolution, right? All of those specific things, career exploration, right? Because you got to start to get these kids interested at an early time frame rather than waiting, right? You got to pique their interest early, get them engaged, keep them engaged. So we work on these things every day with our kids in our after school program, and not only that is we hold them accountable, right? Kids want structure, but you have to give it to them.
Everybody wants structure,
right? Right, and people think, oh, they don't want any structure. Kids want structure. Kids want to know that you care about them. Kids want to know that you're genuine about their safety and everything else. And so you have to show them that. And so we're really going to dig in, this year in regards to youth violence.
That's huge.
It is huge. And you really have to make like a real dynamic effect in the short amount of time, like on a daily basis that you have with these kids, because they spend so many more hours away from the center than they do at the center. So I'd assume that programming is geared and always evolving to be like dynamic and up with the times.
Yes. And I'll say this and attest to you is because you've been a big help to the organization as well with assisting in some of the programs, from a grant perspective. And so we appreciate that. So you kind of know, how that is with, how things evolved and how my mind kind of works of trying to be innovative and creative in some of the programmatic and things that we bring to the table and trying to be fresh and new and trying to create niche programs that is on the cutting edge that show that we're progressive. And that's how we've been, surviving and providing these programs to the community because that's what the community needs. That's what the community wants. And you can't just sit back on your laurels and not be visionary and progressive of trying to provide programs that, we see that our youth need and that our community needs. And so, it's not only me, but it's also the community saying, hey, what about these type of programs? Or what do you think about this? Or what do you think about that? We love that because, we can't do it by ourselves. And so we look to the community for some visionary ideas as well.
Right. And I always tell people that if they're not going to be honest or something like that, it's like going to a doctor when your arm's broken and then never telling them that your arm hurts.
Right.
How are we supposed to fix your arm if you're not going to be open about what's going on and what the problems are and leave that up to us to like the people that have the knowledge and the ability to do research and to find new programs and to find the things that work that are going to be able to treat this community. I think that Erie in general has a lot of institutionalized difficulties to overcome, and that the only way to do it is to take this really holistic approach that you're kind of describing to me, where we're not just treating one thing or saying that one thing is the answer. There are a multitude of solutions to kind of bring about this global change that we're trying to see in our community.
Definitely. And so what we do at the Booker T. Washington Center, what we're trying to do is create that one-stop shop mentality. Like if you walk through my doors, if you want, an opportunity, you need to feed your family or whatever, we can help you with that. If you need help finding a job, we can help you with that. Right now, it's tax season. We're doing Erie Free Taxes, our EITC program. We help you with that. So, right now, our WIC program that we offer along with some of the partners in WIC, we offer that. So daycare services, with Jumpstart, we offer that. So, when you come through the door, we're just trying to provide services that if we don't have, we can help you and refer you to the experts in that particular area or in that particular field. So, we're trying to create that one-stop shop mentality that, hey, if you walk through these doors, we're going to be able to help you in some capacity.
That really seems to be where all the research is kind of heading towards too, is having this holistic approach where you can, see your doctor, get your eyes checked.
Yes.
All of those things, work on your athletics or your tutoring, or mom or dad needs help finding a job or whatever it is, all kind of in this one big central hub.
Yes. I think that's the idea, because you got to think about this, right? And specifically for the individual constituents that we work with, they don't want to go look. They don't want to go look multiple places, right? They may have transportation issues, whatever it is.
They may have. I feel like a lot of people reach a certain level of acceptance of this is what it is, and this is what it's always going to be. And maybe they've tried something in the past and it didn't work for them, and they're afraid to reach out and approach a new technique to find of getting their hopes up.
Sure.
And go ahead. No, I was just gonna say, and kind of like what you both were saying, it's extremely discouraging if like you walk in the door and you're like, and I know not everybody that goes in is necessarily down on their luck or whatever, but if you walk in the door and you're looking for answers, and this is like your liaison to hope or whatever, and you get told, oh, well, you got to go somewhere else. We offer this, and that, but like if you want that, you got to go, somewhere else. We don't do that. Like that's just like a crushing thing.
Sure it is.
So you want to be able to offer just anything that you possibly can to help people grow and break that chain, that nasty chain that we've had in Erie for a long time of just like high poverty rates and, setting records as, the poorest zip code, or a couple years ago it was the worst place to live for African Americans, and like we got to, have like a concerted effort and a real centralized effort to overcome these things.
Sure. And one of the things too is that, obviously you can't offer everything, but the point to what you were saying, Dave, is that if you don't offer it, it's one of those things where you're not saying, hey, no, we don't offer that, can't help you.
Yeah,
it's
good luck.
Yeah, it's sit, have a seat, and you can pick up the phone.
We'll call,
and make those calls, get that soft handoff to whoever it is that is providing those particular services. So it's the relationship building, and so even if they don't know where to come or where to go, they'll say, you know what, I know I can go to the Booker T. Washington Center because they might not be able to provide the service, but I know they know where to go to get the services, and they're going to help me to get these services, right? And so not only that, sometimes, some of the constituents that we serve, feel a little embarrassed about specific things.
Sure,
Yeah,
right?
of course.
Need
And
an
so,
advocate.
right. So they need an advocate. They need someone that's going to speak for them, talk for them. And not only that, build their confidence and say, hey, we got you. Don't worry about it. We're going to help you through this process.
Right.
Right. And so.
And educate them along the way, so that way they can make these calls and these referrals and find these things on their own later when they need you.
Absolutely. And so that's kind of what we've been doing over the last 100 years, I would say, right?
Right, yeah.
About 100.
About 100 years, and I think, that speaks volumes, to what we've been doing.
You also work with closely with Merciers, correct?
Yes. So we've been doing some programming with Merciers for the last 10 years. Unfortunately, this last term was the last term that they're providing classes, actual classes.
Like college classes?
Like college classes,
Awesome,
yes.
that's great.
So before, for like the last 10 years, we were, providing classes, and you had the opportunity to get your associate's degree and everything else. But, it's interesting. There's a shortage of individuals, going to school now. I didn't realize that. It was like, wow, really? But but now we're just trying to possibly find ways to work together, of doing some community-driven type of work. And so, we're going to focus on that with Mercyhurst. We do work very closely with their education department. So their education department has some graduate assistants that come to our program right now and do homework help, homework assistance, and does a lot of other different things. And going back to the partnership with the Erie School District, we have what is called a literacy lab, where those individuals who may have some issues in regards to trying to get back on track as far as the academic type of thing is. So we pull those individual kids. They work on a program that's called iReady, and then Amplify is the math version. iReady is more so the reading, writing type of version. And what it does is we do a baseline score, and it tells us, what level, grade level the kid or the student is reading at or learning at, and then it spits out a curriculum that we can utilize to get them on track. But not only that, for individuals who are reading at grade level, but we want to take them to the next level.
Sure.
It also provides that as well.
What about GED preparedness?
So we work closely with Gary Horton's organizations, Urban Erie Development Corporation, who I suggest maybe next time if we can get him on there, I can make that happen as well.
Hey, we love that.
But we work with them. He does all of the GED services that we partner with and refer to. So we have a pipeline to that, so that's not an issue as well. I think that's an important piece too, is the GED programs as well. And the big picture to this is that we have to get kids. I call them kids probably because of my age. But we got to get these kids or these young men and women to the point to understand education. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit of something about what I think education. So for me, someone that's taught college courses and has been doing that for the last 10 years or so or whatever else, I tell people education doesn't necessarily have to mean that you have to sit in the classroom on a college level, right? Education may mean, hey, I want to go and get a certificate in welding.
Sure.
Or a certificate in phlebotomy or whatever it is. It does not necessarily mean that you have to graduate from college or everything. College isn't for everyone. Right. It's one of those things of find a skill set that makes you happy, and that gives you an opportunity to be a citizen that can create a sustainable living wage, and that you can give back to your community via taxes or whatever else, and feed your family.
Sure.
Right.
So you know, education for me is not always I have to go to college.
Right.
You know, it's bigger than that, and so that's why some of these workforce development programs that we're looking to work with, and I'll speak to one here in a little bit, but it's important.
There's also like a huge value, I think, in informal education. Just like sitting down here, maybe listening to this podcast, listening to you talk, listening to the different people that work with Booker T. Washington Center has a tremendous value to people to see that, you know, what they want is possible, and that if they can make some better decisions that hopefully that the Booker T. Washington Center is guiding them towards, they're able to make a better life for themselves and improve their quality of living for themselves and their family.
Absolutely. So I'm going to segue into, if you don't mind.
No, go ahead.
And I think this is important. So to segue into, you know, while we're talking about workforce development and sustainable living wages and things of that nature, is that, you know, and it also talks about just the visionary and the vision of organizations like the Booker T. Washington Center, and the others that I'm going to mention here. The Minority Community Investment Coalition, it's called MCIC, which I'm the president of that organization, which consists of Martin Luther King Center, Booker T. Washington Center, and Urban Area Development Corporation. Mm-hmm. So those three organizations, so myself, James Sherrod, and Gary Horton, are the three founders of MCIC. So for those that are listening to this podcast, so MCIC is the Minority Community Investment Coalition, which we own the 19 acres at Joyce Savacchio Park. We also have 12 vacant lot properties where we're looking to do, right now it's just green space, but we're looking to build houses and homes. So
Didn't Gary also just get that school?
Burton School, which is in our footprint as well.
Cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right around the corner.
Uh-huh.
So we're looking to transform that part of the city of Erie. So we're in phase one of Joyce Savacchio Park. So we received some grant funding through the ARP for the development of Joyce Savacchio Park. And so in our phase one, we're doing urban agriculture.
Very cool.
As well as some community gardens and things of that nature. So we're in phase one. Phase one is shovel ready. We'll be breaking ground here in March. So we're talking about in the urban agriculture where we're going to be developing micro brands, fish, all of those specific things.
Oh, wow,
so
cool.
we have a soft agreement with Kersey Foods that is going to purchase all of the things that we grow. Right.
Awesome.
Yeah. So and so some of the micro brands and some of the things that they go out to purchase, they're purchasing from across the country. You know, and so developing that partnership with us,
huge.
It's huge.
Yeah, it's gigantic.
Right. They'll be able. They're 4 or 5 blocks away.
Yeah, they'll save a ton of money and
Right.
they'll put people to work in
put
Erie.
people to work. Right. And so
the quality will probably be a lot higher.
absolutely.
People like fresh.
Yes. So we're excited about that, and it's going to create, 25 to 30 jobs in phase one.
Awesome.
And so and then the urban gardening is it's going to be a 2,500 foot structure where those in that community and have an opportunity to grow their own fruits and vegetables.
Very cool.
But then also we'll be able to do farmers markets, things of that nature, and get that new American population and those individuals in that area happy about their neighborhood. And then also having the opportunity to have jobs and creation of jobs. And so the Burton project, along with that project, and then the city's talking about the park over there, Roger Young Park, of building a football track, a track and the football field and the soccer field and everything else is going to revitalize that neighborhood. So it just goes back to what I'm saying about MCIC, which is the three organizations that created another nonprofit, but then also we created a for-profit entity too, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to create sustainability also for our organizations, right? So any revenues that we generate will go back into our three organizations, right? To be able to continue to provide the services that we are providing now, because quite frankly, government funding and things of that nature, that could dry up at any time.
Sure.
So we're trying to be visionaries to be able to support ourselves, but not only that, create family sustainable living wages for our own community, where individuals can feel proud that they're not only providing opportunities for food and things of that nature, but a living wage that they can bring back to their family, and which in turn makes them feel good about themselves.
Right.
And so it's just a ripple effect.
It alleviates so many burdens within a family structure too, with a livable wage and having transportation and having the ability to, take your kids to different experiences and even just the family structure itself. It's just all good things.
It's tremendous. It's tremendous. And I think, and that's just phase one of the project. We have 19 acres. So
yeah, it's a lot of space.
Yeah, it's a lot of space. And so, we would like to, in phase two, we're looking at possibly, and none of these things are set in stone, because what we realize is we're working with a group out of Harrisburg called INTAG that is developing, all of these things and has the expertise in what we're doing. But there may be an opportunity, in phase two is to grow phase one because it's going so well, and create more revenue and generate more revenue. And so, but some of the things that we're also looking to do, is develop a culinary arts kitchen on the grounds to be able to provide culinary arts training and things of that nature for the individuals in the community as well. And then phase three, we're talking about solar.
Cool. Okay. That's awesome.
To be able to have a solar farm. But then also not only that, we've had some conversations with some individuals about providing solar to the grid. People don't realize Erie is kind of strapped for
energy. Yeah.
Energy. So we've had some conversation and are continuing to have some conversation, not only about the solar, but the manufacturing of the solar panels itself.
Interesting.
So we have those phases that we're looking at on those 19 acres, and so that is also what we call an opportunity zone.
Sure.
The 19 acres are on the Keystone Opportunity Zone as well. So that means investors can come in and invest and get some form of a tax break. So
sure.
So we're excited about that. The workforce development piece and trying to create jobs and opportunities for our community. So it's not just us speaking it, we're actually doing it. Because at the end of the day, if you can be a vessel to create opportunities, then I think you should be able to at least try to help individuals in that capacity. So those are some of the economic type of things that we're doing that I think is going to be important, because it's not only showing that we have a wherewithal to be able to move individuals from possible poverty but also to a sustainable living wage.
Absolutely. And all of those things are very interesting and cool because they're beyond the scope of a typical 501(c)(3). You're a private entity that is going to be using that money, obviously, to fund these 501(c)(3)s as through donations and through your own revenue. But it offers a tremendous amount of freedom to adapt and change because you're actually generating more than you're putting out. Ideally, you know what I
Yes.
mean? And you're not limited. Not to say that the Booker T. Washington Center or any of these other places are particularly limited, but you do have different avenues that you can explore that are outside of the typical realm of like a 501(c)(3).
Yes, you have to be visionary in these days, specifically with no guarantees of funding. It's a daily, constant grind of trying to find revenue and find funds to keep your doors open. And so, at some point you want to try to create the opportunity to be sustainable and create these opportunities where you don't always have your hand out, because at the end of the day, you just never know when these funding streams will dry up.
Right.
And so we're trying to be proactive to the point to where we're saying, you know what, we have to be more creative and find ways to make sure that, we keep these doors open. And so, at some point somebody can tell you, no, we're not funding you anymore. And then, what do you do then? And it's I've had that happen. So believe me, it's not an easy thing. Then you have to try to cut programs, do this, do that, finagle things. And it's not an easy task, but going back to what I said earlier, 100 years we've been doing it. We found a way,
Right.
And we'll continue to find a way to be a strong advocate for this community and for the people. And I think that's the most important part of what I've learned over these last 20 or so years is that people look up to you or look up to the organizations for you to be that vessel and for you to be that gleam of hope to speak for them when they can't speak themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's important for us.
And it's important to, kind of remember if you've never had your life impacted by, like a community center like the Booker T. Washington Center, you might drive down 18th Street and it's just some building on the corner,
Right.
But for the people that have utilized these services, that have grown and changed their lives with it, it's much more than just brick and mortar.
Yes.
It's absolutely a symbol of hope and opportunity. And those are such important things to have in a community.
Right.
Absolutely.
I agree. And I like the philosophy of developing the people and the people will develop the rest. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh no, there's no opportunities out there. It's no, we're going to make the people are the most valuable part of this, the most pivotal tool in profitability and building these sustaining wages. And if we just develop the people into people that are able to sustain this and develop their own profitability and be creative and innovative and make businesses and stuff like that, then the rest will flourish around it.
Absolutely.
Naturally, as it should.
Absolutely. And it goes back to this point that I'm going to make in regards to, another partnership that we're developing, and it's going to be starting here shortly, is that Bridgeway Capital has a program in Pittsburgh where they're working with minority contractors and small business contractors, and what they're finding and what we're finding here locally is that we have a lot of minority businesses and contractors itself, but they don't have that back office support, right? Like they don't have the QuickBooks, maybe they don't have the HR stuff, maybe they don't have the marketing stuff all in place. So those back office type of things that can take them to the next level.
Right.
They may not even know how to go after a bid, or So what Bridgeway Capital is doing has a program in Pittsburgh that is going to focused, on those particular skill sets and helping those businesses. And so they're going to be bringing that here to Erie, and they've partnered with us to be the venue to be able to provide these services, and also we're going to be providing the outreach and everything else to the community to find these 10 to 15 black contractors that want to go through this particular program.
That's awesome.
So we're going to be rolling that out here pretty shortly. We're in the process of ironing out the timelines and the dates and everything else. And so it's going to be like a 3-month type of program where we're going to help these particular individuals. So we're excited about that partnership as well.
Very cool.
And then, the other thing is we had a partnership with the Redevelopment Authority where the Quinn T building on 16th Street, that's right on 16th and Island, right by the Booker T. Washington Center, where the old GAF and all of that used to be. And then West 12th Street, the old Erie Malibu building that you're tearing down now.
Yeah.
So we had a partnership with the Erie Redevelopment Authority, meaning MCIC, to find individuals to work, individuals of color to work on these particular sites. One of the things, and Tina Minjean, who is done a fabulous job of being inclusive, one of the things that we told her is and I told her, I said, listen, you got these buildings being torn down in my backyard, literally a block away, and when the people wake up and they go out and they see, this building being torn down, but they don't see anybody that looks like them, how does that make them feel?
Right.
It's like, man, they're tearing this building down right in my backyard. I can't get a job on the, And
right.
So Tina said, you know what, I get what you're saying. And so I want to see what we can do. So we got a few individuals that worked on the site and are working on the site on West 12th Street now. We helped them get OSHA certified. We helped them do some other specific training. We went out and bought the gear for them. Anything that was a deterrent of, well, I can't go to work. Well, no, we got that. You don't have any boots? We'll go buy you boots. You don't have a hard helmet? We go buy you the hard helmet. So we went out and did all of that. And these individuals are working on the site right now. So, but my point is, you have to have individual organizations as such as the Erie Redevelopment Authority have these broader projects to give individuals a shot to make a difference, not only for themselves, but for their families.
So
Right.
I have just one question, and I think this is important. I've been thinking about this the whole time as you've traversed from the center to the MCIC to synergy with all these other companies. For our listeners, for us, for people on an individual level, with all this experience you have in growing the community and making it a better and more inclusive place for everybody,
It's going to be a hard question.
what can we do? What can we do on an individual level? What to make things better?
That's a great question, Dave. And I tell people this all the time. A lot of people or some people think it's always money, right? That's always the first thing that comes to people's mind. Well, I don't have any money to give to you or whatever else. No, donate your time. Donate your expertise. Like what you all are doing today is so valuable to individuals who may not have known about the Booker T. Washington Center or known about what we've done or what we've been doing. Come and volunteer, right? Give up some of your time to help somebody else's lives better, right? And so, or if you have the wherewithal from a money perspective, then give some money. It doesn't have to be millions of dollars or thousands of dollars or whatever else. Believe me, $25, $30, whatever else.
That's a pair of boots.
That can help someone.
Maybe not
So
a pair of boots.
it depends on how old you are. Right?
Yeah.
But so time, it could be time, it could be money, it could be research, right? Meaning that you may have an idea, and by having that idea, you can say, you know what, I'm going to do the research for you. You said you guys are looking at some workforce development type of things. Hey, let me do some little bit of research for you and give you some information about how that may work or what pitfalls to stay away from. I mean, just, anything that can change the trajectory of someone's life or helping the organization in any capacity. It could be, you can bring some boots or some socks or snacks or whatever you think you could do out of the kindness of your heart to help not only my organization, but any organization that you feel is beneficial to your cause or your thoughts or beliefs about what can help this community, then that's what you should do. I think, and this is all good. I think when we have tragedies, not only does the community come together, but the world comes together, right?
Sure.
And so, you see these large tragedies. Look at the Hamlin thing in Buffalo, right? The young man
Who collapsed on the
on the field. A week later, his for a nonprofit entity had $7 million.
Right.
But what I'm saying to that is that it does not always necessarily have to be something when something goes wrong.
Right, that we need to fix.
Right?
An ounce of prevention is worth more than a pound of treatment.
Absolutely, and I believe that. And so, if we just, said, you know what, hey, today or for the next year, I'm gonna donate $100, or I'm gonna donate 100 hours, or I'm gonna donate
10 hours.
Yeah, 10 hours, or whatever it is that you can do. I think that's the most prudent thing to help your community.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on today, Shantel. We really appreciate it. We've had a great conversation.
Absolutely.
And enjoyed learning more about the Booker T. Washington Center and the other places that you're involved at MCIC.
Yes.
And all the other areas.
Yeah, it's whole lot of stuff that I didn't mention, but
it's all,
absolutely.
We'll have to have you on again. That's all that
Absolutely.
means.
Anytime, man. I appreciate it. Once again, thank you, fellas. Keep doing what you're doing. I always say this to people is, if you have a vision, follow it through, because you never know what happens. You never know what can happen. So I appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to come on and share about the Booker T. Washington Center and what we do. And thank you, and God bless.
Well, thank you. And thank you, everybody who tuned in today. Make sure you check us out on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, all that stuff. Like, share, review, do all the things, click all the buttons, and we love you.
All right.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.